Hello, Professor. This is Alejandra Blanco. I will be discussing my knowledge into competencies today, which are the reading fluency and oral communication. The first competency I used was the reading fluency. This is the ability to read and understand primary and secondary sources. In this essay, in MLA format, for my medieval class, I demonstrated the ability to evaluate and explicit messages of a text called William of Ockham by Sharon Kaya, and its main supporting elements that include different theories. According to the syllabus, there are 4 points we need to take in account for this paper. 1. Evaluate the explicit message of a text and its main supporting elements. 2. Explain possible implication of the text beyond its explicit message. 3. Evaluate text from significance and relevance. And lastly, analyze text structure or other textual features. In this essay, I explain Ockham's beliefs. Ockham's voluntarism in ethics follow from his nominalism. Voluntarism is the doctrine that actions are not willed by God because they're good in themselves, but in actions is good simply because it is willed by God. From his point of view, it is always possible for God to make something good even if it isn't in the eyes of others. According to Ockham's beliefs, God will be fully able to have a final cause if he saw fit to have one. This is proven by his argument against the first part of the metaphysic of the essences. He believed the theory as implying a limitation of divine freedom and omnipotence, as though God would be governed and limited in his creative act. So God cannot be limited if every being has a final cause, he would have one as well. By showing his nominalism at work, Occam already disagreed with Aristotle and stated, I would claim that it cannot be proved either from statements known in themselves or from experiences that every effect has a final cause. Aristotle believed that all things had a purpose, which was in his doctrine of 4 causes. The causes correspond to the idea that every existing thing requires a fourfold path, the last of which is the final cause, fourth cause purpose. Nominalism, which rejects universals, doesn't believe that in the natural world, every existing thing has to have a final cause or purpose to life. Said universal are terms which signify individuals, things, and which stand for them in propositions. Only individual things exist. There are not and cannot be existent universals. It's already believed that God exists according to Aristotle, so if universal existed as well, then God will have to have a final cause like all existent things. But Occam said once in Fideist is wholly against any alleged proof of God's existence in itself. There are many advocates for God's existence based on the fact that there would be an infinite regress if he did not exist, and those are impossible. But Occam doesn't believe that this can prove God's existence, and instead he would choose faith in God over trying to understand if he exists or not. So if God doesn't exist, then he would also not have to have a final cause. So according to Occam's beliefs, he would not definitely say that God has a final cause, although he is capable of having one. I attached the screenshots of my work cited to prove my ability to find some relevant sources to prove my point. For this essay, I also had to give a brief presentation and explanation the main message that Occam believes. So, which one was his main message? Um, there are different points that we find in the syllabus. As an oral communication, it involves the ability to comprehend and to speak in standard English with precision and clarity. Create and communicate a compelling central message. Use a discernible organizational pattern that makes the content of the presentation cohesive. Select language choices that are appropriate for the audience. Demonstrate delivery techniques appropriate for extemporaneous speaking. Incorporate a variety of types of relevant and credible supporting materials. I clearly spoke in an informative manner during my speech in order for my audience to pay attention and listen to my presentation. I incorporated a variety of relevant, credible supporting materials. I shared my sources and gave a conclusion which highly gave a relevant illustration of what the philosopher tried to inform his followers. In some parts of my oral explanation, I added parts of this excerpt. Occam's influence is not limited to the doctrines he supported. He also advanced the idea of individual rights, which I think is great. The separation of church from state and freedom from speech. His philosophy is credited with showing the way to Protestant reformers who were ready to challenge the Catholic Church's reign. And it was thanks to Occam's nominalism and voluntarism that many people in the world were able to grasp that they were individuals with free will, not universal humans who are all the same. Occam believes only individual things exist, and by the very fact that thing exists, it is an individual. And when examining the question of whether God has a final cause, his philosophy supports that if God exists, of course, and wants a final cause, then he will have one. Conclusion. I have proved the evidence of my ability of two competencies: reading fluency and oral communication. Through my final essay, I demonstrated my reading skills to be clear. I evaluated the explicit message of the text and its main purpose. I also indicated its main supporting elements while evaluating text for relevance. I demonstrated the ability to comprehend and speak in standard English. I created and communicated a compelling central message while using appropriate techniques for extemporaneous speaking. Thanks for watching.